you can measure human intelligence by how we deal with insects, and we're not doing great. We've invented satellites, smartphones, and self-driving cars, but give us a backyard anthill and we instantly regress to pyromaniacs with garden tools. Throughout history, bugs have tested our patience, and we've responded with escalation. The Romans burned sulfur indoors. Victorians used arsenic wallpaper. Modern humans just need Wi-Fi and poor judgment. This isn't a story about bugs. It's about people who fought nature's smallest soldiers and lost spectacularly. 3 real deaths, 3 perfect lessons, and overkill. Because if you're going to declare war on the insect kingdom, you'd better understand one thing. Physics is on their side. Our story opens with a man who believed an anthill was a chemistry experiment. At 73, he lived long enough to know better, but not long enough to stop himself. Armed with a can of gasoline, he marched into his backyard and poured it like divine punishment over an unsuspecting mound. The ants scattered briefly, then regrouped, because fire ants don't panic, they strategize. The fumes rose in silence, invisible but waiting, pulling in the grass and soaking into his clothes. His jeans absorbed the splashback. His shoes became wicks. At this moment, the safest move would have been to walk away, change clothes, and accept that the ants had won this round. He chose the other option. He lit a match. Neighbors described a woomph, which is neighbor speak for immediate regret. The vapor ignited faster than the human brain processes the word mistake. Flames didn't climb, they erupted. The fire met his gasoline-soaked clothing, the vapor cloud hanging in the summer air, and the dry grass beneath his feet. Within seconds, he was fully engulfed. The anthill? Completely untouched. The ants didn't need to fight back. They just watched physics handle their defense. He was airlifted to Our Lady of Lourdes Regional Medical Center in Lafayette, burns covering 40% of his body. Burn injuries are a marathon of agony, infection risk, organ failure, skin grafts that never quite take. For 3 days, his body fought a war it couldn't win. Then it stopped fighting. The ants remained. They'd claimed the yard, the moral high ground, and possibly poetic victory. If there's a lesson here, it's this. Any plan that begins with pour gasoline will probably end with shouldn't have poured gasoline. You can't outsmart creatures older than dinosaurs. You especially can't do it with a fuel designed to propel aircraft. From small flames in Louisiana to an inferno in New York. A woman who learned that if one bug bomb is good, 20 is a demolition permit. If you've ever had bed bugs, you know that logic burns out faster than they do. Sleep deprivation does things to the mind, turns rational adults into desperate generals planning chemical warfare in studio apartments. A 41-year-old woman named Mei Jing reached her breaking point. 2 modest rooms on Pike Street in Chinatown had become her prison, and bedbugs were the guards. Every night was the same. Bites, itching, the psychological torture of knowing something was feeding on you while you slept. She'd tried traps, she'd tried sprays, she'd washed everything she owned in scalding water. Nothing worked. So she went nuclear. 2 rooms, 20 bug bombs. Propane propellant in every can. 1 quietly burning pilot light on the stove. You can do the math. She did it. Each fogger releases a fine mist designed to fill a large space. Multiply that by 20, and you're no longer treating a room. You're building a fuel air bomb with a timer you can't see. The propellant filled the apartment like invisible fog, creeping along the floor, pulling in corners, searching for ignition. The pilot flame didn't move. It didn't need to. The gas came to it. The explosion wasn't loud. It was concussive. A pressure wave that blew out windows, peeled back walls, and partially collapsed the structure. Neighbors said the building jumped. 12 people were injured in the blast and resulting chaos. May was pulled from the rubble alive, covered in burns but conscious. She survived the blast, the collapse, and the extraction. 2 days later in the hospital, surrounded by machines and sterile air, she died from complications. Severe burns don't just destroy skin, they cascade through every system, turning the body against itself. Officials called it improper use of consumer pesticide devices, which is the polite way of saying she accidentally reenacted a Michael Bay film with bedbugs as extras. The impulse made sense. Bedbugs are psychological warfare in arthropod form. They steal your sleep, your sanity, and your security deposit. But 20 foggers in a tiny apartment isn't pest control. It's urban renewal by explosion. The bedbugs? Most of them probably survived. They always do. And if fire and gas can't stop them, someone in Florida is bound to try electricity. Because nothing says, I'm smarter than a mosquito, like homemade high voltage. Mosquitoes don't need stealth. They hum like tiny warplanes, announcing their presence with the confidence of apex predators. For one 52-year-old Florida man, that sound was a declaration of war. Store-bought bug zappers weren't enough. Those flimsy things with their blue lights and pathetic voltage, they were participation trophies in pest control. He wanted something stronger, something industrial, something that would make mosquitoes respect him, or at least fear his yard. So he built one himself using a microwave oven transformer and chicken wire. It was the kind of idea that starts with a YouTube tutorial titled Insane Bug Zapper Hack and ends with a closed casket funeral. A microwave transformer isn't a toy. It's designed to convert household current into several thousand volts, enough to heat food by exciting water molecules at the atomic level. Now picture attaching that to chicken wire, planting it in your yard, and calling it pest control. He tested his creation on a humid evening, the grass still damp from afternoon rain, barefoot, holding the live wires in his hands. Standing in nature's most efficient conductor, the current didn't hesitate. It found the path of least resistance, from his hands, through his chest, across his heart, and stopped everything. 2,000 volts don't negotiate. At that voltage, the question isn't, will it hurt? It's, how fast will the rhythm stop? It stopped immediately. Neighbors heard a sharp pop, then an absence. The kind of silence that follows when something fundamental has just gone wrong. When first responders arrived, the device was still humming, still alive, still waiting for its next target. Investigators described it as improperly grounded, which, in fairness, also described its creator. Electricity is a literal god. It answers every prayer instantly, literally and without mercy. He asked for a stronger zap, he received one. The zapper worked perfectly, it just picked the wrong target. 3 humans, 3 bright ideas, and 3 funerals later. Every one of them proof that nature doesn't need to kill us. We'll handle that ourselves. Insects don't wage wars, they wait for us to start them. They've survived 400 million years by being small, silent, and stubborn. We survive by pretending we're in charge until something explodes. These weren't evil people, just tired, proud, or convinced they could bend nature to their will for 5 minutes. But ants don't negotiate with gasoline. Bedbugs don't care about product reviews. Mosquitoes don't respect prototypes. So if you're thinking about creative pest control, remember, if your plan involves fire, fumes, or exposed wiring, you're not an exterminator, you're a future headline. Subscribe to see more real, ridiculous deaths every week. Hit that like button if you made it through without questioning your own pest control methods, because the bugs will outlive us. Let's not make it easier for them.